Start with Nitro as usual.
Yeah, Nitro, episode 198, July 5th, 99. And the show opens with a quick recap of that terrible main event fiasco last week with Nash kidnapping Gorgeous George. And then we got a ridiculous video pack. I'm assuming it was Thunder. Some kind of video negotiations where Kevin Nash is laying on a bed, acting all cool, talking on the phone, basically doing the hostage exchange negotiations. And then we got the hostage transfer, which I guess was meant to be done out on a street. And Nash double-crossed Savage by having the woman under the hood that he handed over being Tori, not George. But Sid tried to jump him, looked like a complete doofus on the hood of the car. And then we go live to the Georgia Dome with the Nitro girls dancing. And they announce over 25,000 fans. We see a lot of banks of empty seats, but still a lot of people. It's just the Georgia Dome is gigantic.
I was watching these clips from Thunder. I, for the life of me, could not figure out what the hell was going on. I was so completely confused. I knew that, obviously, there had been a kidnapping last week, but it seemed to me like, obviously Tori was cool with it. George seemed like she wasn't cool with it, but you never know with these kinds of storylines back in the 90s. And there's Savage and Sid. It was just such a cluster. I can't even imagine, looking back, the fact that I watched Nitro and Thunder and Raw every week. It's mind-numbing.
Yeah, it really is. We get our opening match, which is Juventud Guerrero versus Chavo Guerrero Jr. And Chavo takes a bump right on his ass on the stage. That stupid Nitro logo catching another victim. And Chavo laughs it off. But they're out here just basically trading spots for several minutes until Savage and Sid run out to make them look like complete jobbers. And other than to try to get a match in early, they should have just had Savage and Sid come out because they just buried these guys and made them look like idiots so that they could cut a promo to further the challenging for Nash because Savage really wants to get Gorgeous George back.
Yeah, this match here, I was infuriated. It was the usual stuff. So Juvi's hit or miss. He was actually really, really good in this match. He did botch a wheelbarrow into a bulldog spot, but overall he looked really good. So it's a Juvi driver, goes up top for the 450. Chavo crotches him. It's the gourd buster. I'm actually really liking this match. And out comes Savage and Sid. I was already so sick of this show. They come out. They beat up both guys. Savage nearly kills this guy with the flying elbow. Just crushed this guy. Looked like he damn near killed himself doing it as well. He has a bad hip or whatever. I don't know what his exact injury was at the time, but he's just crushing everybody with the elbow because he hurts. So he crushes poor Juvi. Of course, they have to find a small man for him to crush with the flying elbow. Crushes this guy, and he still gets up looking like he broke his hip. So, I don't know. It just sucked. The usual Nitro. Dudes run in to destroy the cruiserweights and make them look like geeks. But luckily, we got a Sid promo out of it.
Which I'm pretty sure he botched, and I have no idea what the hell he was talking about. Classic Sid promo. And Savage is just going insane. And then we get classic Kevin Nash being too cool for school, completely killing the heat of a kidnapping angle by just acting like he does not give a damn at all.
So, yeah, amazing promo. The thing I love about Sid's promos is he's completely out of his mind. He's got great delivery. What he says is preposterous, but he delivers it well. But every now and then he'll fuck up a line. And whatever he does, he will stop and he will very calmly and politely apologize for his mistake. The most polite psychopath in the world. And then he's doing his promo. He hands the mic to Savage. Savage apparently can't remember what he was supposed to say, so he just gives the mic back to Sid. Sid keeps rambling, and then Nash and Tori come out, and we get the challenge for the title for the main event. And I guess George is there. She was getting dressed, whatever that means, and this made Savage very, very upset.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure at the end of the promo what they had agreed to. But yeah, I even wrote in my notes, I guess Sid and Nash for the title and George later tonight, but I wasn't positive.
Yeah, we never knew whether George was on the line. We only knew that they were going to do a championship match.
Yeah, this whole show had lots of promos that I wasn't entirely sure what they were trying to get across. And we get another one coming up next. Because from that promo segment, we get Ric Flair and David Flair out together for a promo where Ric Flair, as president of the world, or WCW, I'm not sure which, just declares that his son David is going to become the U.S. champion, claiming that he's the number one contender because he beat Nash last week by countout. So he's awarding him the title. I think he said that Steiner's gone for some reason, so the title's vacant.
Yes.
And he declares that David is now the number one contender, and thus gives him the championship, and then I think awarded him 10 women as well, leading to Buff Bagwell coming out.
So first off, Steiner has got a bad back, and believe it or not, at the time, there was talk that his career may be ending soon. And here it is, 2018. Guy's still doing matches. But anyway, he was hurt, and so, yes, Vinny last week wasn't sure what the finish of the main event was, and it was, in fact, a count out. So David Flair beat Nash, and so Flair claimed that made him the number one contender, and since Steiner was gone, that means he's the new U.S. champion. As ridiculous as this was, Flair made logical sense of why he was giving the title to his son. And then he awarded him, in fact, 10 women, and just to make everybody well aware of what his plan was, he made sure to let them know that they could have him as well. And he awarded them to David and said we'd go out on the town. And then, yes, out came Bagwell for a challenge to David for the U.S. title later on tonight here in his hometown of Atlanta.
Was it me, or did Buff kind of get lost and forget what he was talking about here a while? He was trying to be cool and talk on Rick, but afterwards, I'm like, okay, did he challenge him for the title? He just felt like he got lost and lost direction along in here.
Yeah, we got a title match out of it. That's all that matters. This was not the first or the last. You know what's funny? It's not funny. It's kind of sad, actually, but Bret Hart comes out in a little while here, and his brother died a month and a half earlier. Fell from the rafters at a WWE show. Bret Hart was more on top of things than like half of the guys on this show cutting promos that had lost nothing in their lives.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a case, too, where we complain a lot about scripted promos today, but when you only had to talk and just cut a promo, it was so great back in the day. But when you have three people out in a talking segment where you've got a lot to cover, I think a lot of these guys are getting lost because the show probably wasn't booked more than 30 minutes before they went out, and they probably weren't entirely sure what they were even going to talk about when they left, and they lose focus a lot.
Well, it's also possible the show was rewritten many, many times, and so nobody could even remember what they were supposed to be talking about in the first place.
Could be. We then got just a pointless Nash video, I think, other than just to fill an extra minute on the show. We get a TV title match, Rick Steiner versus Vampiro, in really was not much more than a squash. I think Vampiro got like one move in, and Steiner just beat him. He hit the top rope bulldog and then kind of botched his submission hold. I've seen Rick do this back in his Varsity Club days, where you hook the leg behind the head and hook both arms. So if you straighten your leg, it puts pressure on his neck. I have no idea what it's called. But Rick didn't get the other arm hooked because Vampiro kind of had it tucked in. But he got the submission and really squashed Vamp. I was surprised.
Yeah, killed this guy. Hit the bulldog, hit this move. It looked to me like he put the guy on his side and did kind of like an Americana or something like that. But just some wacky arm hold. Didn't look like he put any pressure on the guy. The guy tapped out. And a waste of time this was.
Yes, followed by another waste of time with Lenny and Lodi doing more gay innuendo backstage.
They literally they came out of a room that had closet written on it, just in case you couldn't figure out what was going on here.
Yeah, both doors had the word closet on it. Well, they again talked and just were as unsubtle as you could be, hinting that they were actually a gay couple. It was really bad. And then we got a Bret Hart video about the Owens death narrated by Mike Today. And they introduced Bret, and Bret come out and straight up said that he was asked by Bischoff to just come out here and basically address his career, his situation.
Well, I recap the whole thing, so I can go from here if you want.
Hit it.
He says, I've been told I have all the time that I want, so I'm not going to rush myself. Want to thank everybody on behalf of my family. It means a lot to all of us. Want to say a few words about my brother. Owen wasn't just a wrestler, he was a wonderful human being. Fans see him on TV, but they never got close to him. And I can't think of one person who ever said a bad thing about Owen. He was my closest brother. I raised him from when he was a baby in diapers. We never had a bad word between us. Took a lot of pride knowing how he'd turned out. He said Eric had asked him to come back on July 5th just to explain things. And he said he thought he'd be ready when he got there, but the truth was he was having a hard time deciding what he wants to do with his career and his life. He says he's lived for wrestling, his family has lived for wrestling, and now we've died for wrestling, he says. He's at a crossroads where he's looked at wrestling, thought maybe there isn't anything he wants to do in wrestling anymore, maybe he needs to move on and try something else with his life. He thinks of Elway and Gretzky and these other guys who were retiring here in 1999. Says they were all so happy to hang it up, but he looks at himself and it just sucks. Says it's not fair for him to end his career on a tragedy. Says nobody wants to prove more in wrestling than he does, but he just doesn't know. Tried to always give everybody his best, but the way his career and life turned out, he's going to have to take some time off, put everything into perspective, and if he never gets a chance to say it again, just wants to thank all the fans everywhere that he ever had and still has. He wouldn't be anywhere without the fans, and he thanks the wrestlers who he worked with, and concludes with, I hope I wasn't too stiff. And then he says, that's about it. Thank you very much. And away he went. An absolutely awesome real moment. Unfortunately built around a legitimate tragedy. I was amazed watching this because he does come back. And when you think about, he was riding high in 97. And the stuff in the summer of 97 was like some of the best stuff in WWE history. As far as angles, the U.S. versus Canada feud, Calgary Stampede, Brett and Shawn, Brett and Under, all that stuff was so great. And then the company that he had been with forever, he gets screwed in Montreal, completely betrayed. He ends up going to WCW. They don't do a thing with him. He's just, they're paying him to do nothing. Just completely waste the hottest character in all of wrestling when he just gets handed to them. They screw everything up. Then his brother dies in an accident on a WWE pay-per-view. And God bless the guy. The fact that he came back to this business after all of that, it's astonishing. It's crazy. And who am I to judge? I never had to go through all of that. But it's just something else to think about.
Yeah, I really found this promo awkward to listen to because you could tell it was just so real and so raw. And I thought there was a few moments where I think it was probably instinct where it almost felt like he was starting to get into a promo role, and then he caught himself and realized, like, no, like he hit 2/3 of his catchphrase when he talked about the fans, giving the best he could, the best. He always, I forget how he worded it, but something where he did the was and is. And it's like he caught himself, and I think he realized that, no, this isn't a wrestling promo. And you could tell it was from the heart, and it was, probably the best thing on this show. But I found it awkward because you could tell that he didn't want to be there, and he had no idea what he was going to do with his life.
Sad.
Yep, and then we get back to the insanity of Monday Nitro. We get Eddie Guerrero.
Literally, we go from that to this.
Yes, a completely stupid segment that I don't think actually ever went anywhere. Eddie Guerrero complaining to Doug Dillinger that his wallet was stolen in the locker room, and he wants Doug to grab all the masked Mexican wrestlers and put them in a lineup so that he can identify who stole his wallet. Awful.
Dude, I don't want to jump ahead, but on Raw, we have the angle where Chyna accuses Road Dogg and X-Pac of vandalizing her car. And the cops come out and they just arrest these guys. Guilty until proven innocent. Same thing on this show. Eddie Guerrero shows up and claims his stuff was stolen. He claims he's a luchador. He wants Doug Dillinger to... Doug Dillinger apparently goes and he takes tape and he takes whatever else and he creates a lineup backstage at the Georgia Dome. There's the heights. There's a line to show how tall everybody is. I'm like, what is this? This is ridiculous. And luckily, Eddie sort of pulled it off.
Well, yeah, the saving grace is Eddie is very entertaining because there's several segments we'll get to later where he's awesome, but just a completely pointless, ridiculous segment. And then we go to the Shat versus Jerry Flynn in a kickboxing match, which is in rounds. And I will give them this. I thought they did a great job of making it as legit as possible. Like, the punches and kicks, while light, it looked quite good and better than most boxing matches, but the crowd did not care and was booing.
No, of course not. But you know what? They had a worked shoot kickboxing match where they were actually doing point karate, I guess is what you would call it. Like, I mean, Shat's just destroying this guy, but he's not hurting him. Like, Shat was a legitimate champion kickboxer, and Jerry Flynn was a Taekwondo black belt, and he was a Taekwondo instructor. So he had really good kicks, but you don't really learn Western boxing in Taekwondo. So like his punches were more like pro wrestling punches. It was not very good punching, guys. I mean, it was good kicking, but Shat's just a way better kickboxer, and he's just destroying this guy. I enjoyed it. Nobody else in the crowd could have possibly cared less. They were doing 3 2-minute rounds, which by the way is important. They did 3 2-minute rounds. Got all that? Crowd's turning on this hard in the second round, and then Shat just waffles him in the back of the head for the DQ at the end of the second round. Thank God this didn't go 3 rounds, I will say that. But I did enjoy the first 2 rounds. And it was better than most of Shat's matches.
Yeah, it was idiotic in that Cat was completely taking him apart. He's winning very clearly, and then just takes the sucker punch when he's on the knee to get DQ'd, and it's like, dude, you were winning. What the hell?
Hey, an idiot.
But I did.
And you know what else is funny about it? Let's say one other thing real quick. When Ernest Miller first came to WCW, okay, I hadn't seen his debut in 19 years when we watched it a couple of years ago. All I remembered was how much I just could not stand watching him wrestle, and that I called him the Shat. And years later, 19 years later, we go back and we start watching these Nitros, and he debuts, and I'm like, he's good. Why did I not like this guy? Well, the answer was, when he debuted, he was doing more of what he was doing in this worked kickboxing match. He was in there as a kickboxer who was doing his stuff in wrestling matches. Then after like a couple of months, he decided, well, I got to be a pro wrestler now. And as a pro wrestler, he sucked. So it was nice to see him going back to actually just doing kickboxing in a wrestling ring because he was way better at that.
Yeah, Heenan had the line of the night when Cat was in the corner and he pointed out that the cat had a mouse under his eye, which I thought was funny. And you should probably mention that the Cat tried a capoeira kick at the beginning of the second round, totally missed, and then Flynn decided to counter with a big high kick and slipped and took a bump, which was funny. But yeah, pointless DQ, but as good of a fake kickboxing match as you're going to get. And then we got Lodi with Lenny in his corner against Van Hammer, which made the Shat match look even better. I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan of Hammer. And Hammer jumps Lodi and just proceeds to kill this dude with just sloppy, terrible-looking offense. This match is rotten. And there's a close-up of Hammer actually telling Lodi to get up on the apron. And they end up having, both guys in the ring, and Hammer's beating them up. He lands Lenny really bad on his shoulders on a superplex, and then he hits Lodi and drops him on his ass, doing basically Jinder's Kalash move. And despite all this interference in front of the ref, Hammer wins in a really, really bad match.
Dude, this match sucked. And it wasn't just the guys in it. I mean, first thing Hammer does, he drops a guy right in the back of his head with some back suplex or something like that. And keep in mind, Lodi had a short WCW career, and he did do indies for on and off for years, I think even until just a couple of years ago. Ended up needing 3 neck surgeries.
Jesus.
Yes. So the other numbskull in this match was our boy Nick Patrick. So first off, Lenny low bridges hammer right in front of Nick Patrick, and it's not a DQ. Now, maybe the timing was off or something like that, but I mean, it's Nick Patrick's job to not see it. He's looking right at it. So that happens. And so Nick Patrick turns and he says, "You gotta watch yourself, Lenny Lane." And the moment he says those words, he turns around and Lenny immediately starts beating on Hammer. Like you couldn't have a worse referee in the middle of this stupid match. Everything about this sucked. This was terrible.
Yeah, this was awful. We then got Doug Dillinger gathering the masked wrestlers for a brief segment backstage, and then we get another long, terrible promo segment.
Oh, man, don't even disparage Roddy Piper.
I'm sorry, but
this dude, he comes out and he's out of his mind. And he's screaming about this. He's screaming about that.
2 minutes late. They play his music and do like a minute of crowd shots while the announcers are wondering if Piper's in the bathroom.
He can't remember if it's crap is rap or rap is crap. Repeatedly. Over and over, he messes it up. So, he says, I got a list of questions I got to ask Sting. He calls out Sting. The fake Sting comes out. So they have this
extremely fake Sting.
Terribly fake. So, Piper says, the real Sting is going to be at Bash at the Beach. And I want you to take off your mask, fake Sting. And he says, I know you're not the real Sting, so I know I can beat you up. And he beats him up. He gives him a neck breaker. And first off, I got 1,000 questions. Maybe you can answer. Isn't Roddy Piper a heel?
Yes.
Okay, so why is he beating up the fake Sting, who also is a heel? That's a babyface thing to do. And then promising the real Sting is going to be at the show?
Why is Sting out here at all?
I have no idea. And then Tony Schiavone, after the fake Sting gets beaten up, says, you know, that makes me wonder if it's actually been Sting in the Hummer all along. I'm like, dude, it's been 3 years. Guys have been impersonating Sting. Now you're believing that maybe this is the real Sting? I mean, come on. And then Piper responds with a heel promo on Buff Bagwell.
And I'm still not entirely sure what he challenged him to.
I'll tell you what he challenged him to. Now, keep in mind, everybody, earlier in this show, there was a kickboxing match that involved 2 guys fighting in 3 2-minute rounds, although they only made it 2 rounds and the fans turned on it after the second round. Roddy Piper challenges Bagwell to a 10-round, 3-minute per round boxing match at the pay-per-view. I could not even believe my ears. And it gets even better. So, in storyline, okay? In storyline, Roddy Piper has come out here and just out of nowhere, he challenges Buff Bagwell to a boxing match at the pay-per-view. Well, coincidence of all coincidences, out comes J.J. Dillon with Judge Mills Lane in tow. And he says, well, you know, if we're going to have this boxing match, I've got just the guy to officiate. And Mills Lane then cuts a promo where he basically doesn't know if the pay-per-view's in California or Florida, and so he just says both. The pay-per-view's taking place in California, Florida, wherever that is. How in the world are we supposed to believe that J.J. Dillon knew that Roddy Piper was going to cut this promo and therefore contacted, booked a flight, and flew in Mills Lane in order to do this announcement? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, and you're giving Piper a bit too much credit saying he challenged him to a boxing match. He challenged him to a match where they would tape their fists and then put gloves on. I don't think he ever once used the word boxing.
Well, he didn't, but I presumed it was boxing, but you are absolutely correct. He did not even say the word boxing when challenging him to a 3-minute per round, 30 minutes. And that's not counting the time in between rounds. We're talking 40 minutes. Well, I gotta look this up.
Hoping he'd end it early.
Hold on a second. What year is this, 1999?
Yep.
All right.
Oh, you're looking up to see how long it goes?
I gotta find out if they actually did this match. I can't even believe this. Let's see here.
The match with the guys that actually had legitimate boxing and kickboxing skill was bad. Imagine Buff and Piper.
All right, so Bagwell beat Roddy Piper in a boxing match with Mills Lane as the referee, but it only went 6 minutes and 36 seconds. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe Mills Lane decided this can't possibly be a, 10-round whatever.
Well, it was a finish in the beginning of the third, let's hope, I guess.
Maybe that could be what it is, yeah. Mills Lane, by the way, was only 61 here. He looked 100 years old.
He did look really old.
61 years old. Yeah.
All right. Up next, we get another match, finally. We get Lord Steven Regal and Fit Finlay with Dave Taylor in the corner against Ray and Conan with the Soldiers. They didn't have Master P, but they had a few soldiers out there. And the heels jump-started. Heat on Ray real quick. Hot tag to Conan. And then we get the Cowboys out to brawl with them. They keep calling the one dude Swole, but I'm 99% sure it isn't Swole. I assume this was a no contest or a DQ or something. It was really a pointless match that I think the promo must have went long, so they just cut these guys' time down to like 2 minutes. And the Cowboys ran in and then left strong, and that was it.
That was the whole story of this show. It's like, same with Raw. It was like, match starts, 1 minute, shit happens. Over and over and over again. And I was enjoying Regal and Finlay destroying Ray. I thought it was great. But the geeks ran in, and there you go.
Yep, and that was it. Oh, we should also mention, too, that the announcers kept plugging the Megadeth concert on this show.
That's right.
Thankfully, it gets edited off, and we didn't have to watch it, but they had a Megadeth concert as part of Nitro.
I can't remember what... I don't know. I think it was the Kiss concert that did a 1.9, which like back then was just like astonishingly, like horrendously low. And like that's what Raw does regularly nowadays. It's kind of funny in hindsight, but yeah, 1.9.
I think the only guy that did a decent concert rating was that Chad Brock guy who was a country singer.
Yeah. And of course the West Texas Rednecks.
Yes. David Flair versus Buff Bagwell for the U.S. title. David just gets killed early until he manages to get a ball shot in on Buff, but then Buff just basically hits his finish anyway. Charles Robinson is the ref. And Charles, David, and Rick all have the same haircut, which is tremendous. Charles pulls up short on the 3 count because his shoulder is bad to stop it. Flair and Arn get in. Buff manages to put David in the figure 4, and then when Flair comes in to make the save, gets small packaged. Arn has to make the save. Dean out for the save. Buff manages to slam Asia almost on top of David, not paying attention. We get Piper in with brass knuckles to knock Buff out. David crawls on top of Buff. Dean just kind of has to leave because he's standing there with nothing to do and the finish is going down, so he looks like a moron. And David picks up the win in just a rotten shitfest of a match.
Yeah, but you know what? Part of the problem is that this was a dying company right now, and so this was the last thing they needed to be doing. David Flair is the U.S. champion. If this would have been during a hot period, this might have been okay, because at the end of the day, it is really entertaining. And a lot of that is because of Ric Flair, because he's so awesome. And David sucks. That's the storyline, is that David sucks. And he sucks, which makes him sucking in storyline work even better. Flair can just make anything work. The spot where Buff puts David in the figure 4 and Rick runs in and he gets cradled, and so Buff is submitting and cradling one guy. The place is just going nuts. It's such easy heat. David just being just the biggest numbskull ever, but he keeps retaining this title. I enjoyed this. It wasn't what the company needed, but I laughed. I liked it as a fan. It's such goofy slapstick comedy. Flair is just unbelievably great. I couldn't figure out why Mills Lane didn't come out at some point. That's what was needed here, but overall, I had fun watching this, so I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
I'm giving it a thumbs down. This is killing the show, not drawing heat for me.
Dude, the show's dead. You're giving it too much credit.
I'm hoping they'll salvage it before I show up in a year.
Oh, are you kidding me?
All right, we then get, I'll make a note here, the Nitro Girls danced, and then we get the masked guys in the lineup. Eddie insists they unmask. The Mexican guys are really hot that they have to take their masks off, but the cameramen are at least respectful. The cameraman shoots from behind the Mexican guys, so they pull up their masks to show Eddie their face.
Yeah, we're supposed to believe that Eddie Guerrero has never seen any of these men without their masks on. He doesn't know what any of them look like.
One guy, he recognized him and popped.
Yes.
But this is all Eddie Guerrero. Like, this was entertaining, as stupid as it was, because we're shot from behind the mask guys, so we just see Eddie's face and him selling how grotesque or ugly they are and telling them to put the masks back on. And then there's the one guy that he recognized. Hey, he hasn't seen him in a while, and he gives him a hug, tells him to pull the mask back down. It's funny. He determines that none of these guys stole his wallet, and the segment just ends. And if it was anybody but Eddie, this would have just been a disaster.
It was 1,000 times better than Sasha and Bailey. We never got any sort of like, this was the end.
Yeah.
Like, what was the point? He just wanted to see everybody unmasked? Like, we never found out who took his wallet. We presume nobody did. Like, what was the I don't even know what the point of any of this was, but he was funny. Like, the first, La Parca, he said, was horrifying, and I think it was Ciclope was horrifying. He gets to Psychosis and he goes, "You're a good-looking guy. What are you wearing a mask for?" And then he gets to Puma Kid or whoever, and he recognizes him, and then he gets to Blitzkrieg, and he's just disgusted that he's an American. This was funny stuff.
Yeah, absolutely no point, but it was funny.
You're not even a Mexican.
The guy named Blitzkrieg, go figure. Then we get technical difficulties, some interference. I guess Hardcore Hack has hacked the show.
Yeah, can you imagine they took that long to figure this out? Hack is a hacker.
Yeah, he's Sammy Callahan's old gimmick from NXT.
Yeah.
And he's sitting on a ladder. He's got Chastity with him. And he's just yelling for no reason. And saying WCW was dumb enough to hire him. I'm not sure how that puts himself over. And complains, I guess Ric Flair has banned hardcore matches, I guess.
Yes.
So he's challenged everyone to meet him at the junkyard at the pay-per-view for that junkyard battle royal. I think injured like 8 people, cost like several $100,000.
I'm just screaming at the TV saying, "Don't do it."
Yeah, this was really bad, but he challenged the pay-per-view for the junkyard match, and then we get more of the hacking sound effects, and then we're back to the show for what I assume is your favorite part of the show. Oh, my
God. If I hear one bad word about this from anybody, like, I'll mute you on Twitter. I never want to hear from you again. This fucking concert was so great. Curt Hennig is out there. He's blatantly lip-syncing. Like, it's so bad that it's better than good. He's pretending to sing. You got the other rednecks out there playing the guitar. And every time they show a shot of Curt Hennig supposedly singing the song, the best part is in the background, there's Barry Windham.
Yes.
And he's got his drumsticks, and he's pretending to drum, and he's got the biggest smile on his face, and he's singing along. Every time I saw it, I was in tears watching this. They're all having so much fun. The time of their lives. This company is a fucking train wreck. They're not doing anything with any of these guys. Now they have the opportunity to go out there and pretend like they're country rock stars. I could have watched this over and over on a loop for 3 hours, and I would have had more fun than I was watching this Nitro. It was so good. And they get done, and like, at first you hear a cheer, but then you hear a bunch of boos. They should be performing every week. I loved it.
I assume the boos were piped in, because they got a good pop coming out. And like you, Barry Windham on the drums with just the stupidest grin on his face is the highlight. Because he's just thinking this is so much better than taking bumps.
Yeah, he's grinning. He's singing along. Maybe he was hitting the drums. I don't even think he was hitting them. I think he was just like in the air, like shaking his arms like this to pretend like he's drumming, so he didn't actually hit the drums to make a noise. It was so good.
Yeah, you could tell they were having fun. We then get the Jersey Triad versus Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn. I'm assuming the show has officially gone long because this match was just in and out. Benoit did a quick German spot. We went to break. You come back. There's heat on Saturn. Quick hot tag to Benoit. Immediate heat on him. Hot tag to Saturn. We get a big three-way. And the baby faces, I guess, end up hitting their three big moves in a row to pin Bam Bam for probably the only clean win on this show. This was just rushed to get through because we still have the main event.
Yeah, not much to it. I liked the finish. It wasn't much of a match because it was short, but what aired was good. Finish was great. So thumbs up.
And then we get Michael Buffer out to introduce our big main event of Sid versus Nash. And Nash, of course, in typical babyface fashion, uses his kidnapped victim for leverage to get the girls and Savage sent to the back while the crowd chants for Goldberg.
I didn't write down all of his intros, but Buffer was back. And he called Miss Madness and Medusa savagely sexy and said that Sid was the most vicious man in professional wrestling today. Thought that was a Macho Man, but anyway.
Well, his name is Sid Vicious.
That's true.
Not really going out on a limb with that one. I think he declared both of them were the greatest big man of all time. Match starts, you get your typical Kevin Nash offense in the corner. You get the knees and the back elbows. And Savage runs out to attack Nash. I think maybe Nash might have got potatoed by Savage because he actually dropped after one of his punches and then had to get right back up and no-sell them. Nash manages to fight off both guys. The ref's doing nothing. And then later they decide to bump him, I guess, hoping he'll forget the stuff that he just saw. We then get a better fake Sting out to jump on Nash. The three start destroying Nash. The real Sting comes out and makes the save, but Kevin Nash doesn't see the real Sting come out and get rid of the fake Sting. So he jumps on the real Sting and gives him a power bomb and dumps him terribly. But playing up that Kevin didn't know this wasn't the Sting that jumped him. And then Kevin gets his belt and leaves. This was really nothing of a match. And then at the end, Nash does a promo basically saying that he, what's the appropriate use of words here, had his fill of pleasuring George, I guess, and said that Savage could have her back and said she was in the dressing room. And then we get a really awkward segment where infuriated, crazy Randy Savage runs to the back and he starts screaming at George that somehow this is her fault and he's mad at her. He screams at her. He actually slaps Tori Wilson in the face.
I could not even believe my eyes.
Yeah, he didn't slap her hard, but he did slap Tori Wilson in the face, and she doesn't sell it, but she's shocked. And then he kind of beats on George for a bit.
Kind of?
Shoves her.
Dude, he shoves her off screen, and then you can't see her, and he starts putting the boots to her.
Well, you didn't see the boots, but yeah, he shoved her, and he's screaming at her, and then he did appear behind the door there to lay the boots to her after we did see him slap Tori. So this was really uncomfortable way to end the show.
Dude, I couldn't even believe my eyes when I saw this. Like, I don't remember this. Probably just blocked it out of my mind, but yeah, he just runs back there. He slaps Tori across the face. He throws George off screen, starts booting her as she's screaming and crying. I was like, what the fuck is going on right here? This is crazy. And the announcers are just dead silent because they're probably wondering what the hell's going on. I highly doubt that Savage was scripted to do all of this. I think he just went on his merry way and did what he was going to do.
Yeah, I vaguely remember hearing talk of this in the day that he wasn't supposed to do anything. He was just supposed to grab George and leave, and the slap on Tori was not expected, and I can't imagine anybody thought, yeah, go back and lay the boots to George would be a good way to end this show. What a horrible, horrible show.
It's terrible.
Other than the West Texas Rednecks, there was not a lot of this show.
Yeah, this final segment right here, I mean, between Savage running in and it's not a DQ, and they don't even give us I don't even think they gave us a bell or anything like that, and then Savage attacking it was just crazy. This was just insanity on this sinking ship here.
Yeah, very much so.
You want to do the finishes?
I'll do finishes if you have music.
I'm going to try and do this music. Let's see if it works. Here we go. It's going to be Jarrett's old WCW theme, which, by the way, trivia note, was later used for a new West Texas redneck song. Here we go. Go ahead.
All right. The finishes on this show were no contest due to run-in, a clean submission, DQ where guys who were interfering intentionally got... Oh, sorry, my bad. DQ and the guy who was winning intentionally got DQ'd. Pin after tons of interference in front of the referee. No contest due to run-in. Pin after all kinds of run-ins and interference anyway. Clean pin, and then the main event was either a DQ or a no contest due to mass run-ins, but we have no idea.
Terrible. That was a fine Vinny impersonation, by the way.
I'll claim the screw-up was intentional, so it sounded more like Vinny.
That's right. You gotta bumble yourself around a little bit to make it accurate.
Let's get going. WCW Monday Nitro number 199, July 12th, 1999. Eclipse of Bret Hart's speech from last week, saying he was taking more time off after Owen's death, but while he had the chance, he wanted to thank the fans for all they'd done for him. Then they showed Goldberg returning somewhere at some point, and then he apparently disappeared again.
Yeah, what the hell was that all about?
I don't know.
Where is this guy?
I don't know. I read your report on last week's Nitro, which I did not watch, and I did not see Goldberg anywhere in there.
Yeah, he wasn't there. That's why.
Yeah. And finally, they showed the chaos at the end of last week's show between Nash and Sid and Savage and Fake Sting and Sting. And they opted not to re-air the footage that appeared to show Randy Savage beating up Gorgeous George.
Yeah, I wonder why.
I can't imagine why that was not re-shown.
Yeah, so as we talked about last week, Randy Savage was out of his mind, and there was a spot where he shoved Gorgeous George. He slapped Tori Wilson, who, by the way, did not know that she was going to get slapped, and so you can imagine how she felt about that. And there was a lot of heat on Savage. They didn't mention it all this week. They had a pay-per-view, the Bash at the Beach or whatever the hell it was. And on that show, Randy Savage, after all of that controversy, still won the WCW title. And that's what we got heading into the show. Also, the Junkyard Battle Royal, we should mention that, took place on the show. Fucking horrible. Everybody got hurt, $100,000. So, quite the pay-per-view there.
So Mean Gene brings up Savage. He won the world title in a goofy tag team match. He comes out alone. He brags about his title win for a while. Says he told the crew to stay in the back because he's the boss. He uses an open challenge to anyone except Kevin Nash, who did not deserve a title shot because he's a 0 in life, and I got his number, and his number is 0.
This was awesome.
I love that promo.
Do not bury Randy Savage's promo. Do not bury Sid's promo later. They were both fabulous promos.
I did not bury Savage's promo one bit. So, who should have rocked the one? Hulk Hogan, who has not had a match since the four-way at the pay-per-view in Tacoma at Spring Stampede when he suffered a knee injury, and they were teasing his career might be done. So he walks out, and Savage immediately bails like a coward, screams for Bobby Heenan to get Hulk out of there. Then Savage admits, he says to the world champion has made a mistake. And he clarifies that Hogan belongs in the same category as Nash. Hogan says, it's too late now. You challenge anyone but Nash. It's done. I ain't a title shot tonight. Now Savage changed his tune. Says he overreacted. He offered a Hogan a way out. He's glad Hogan did not bite. He's going to let Hogan out. He's not going to let Hogan out of there. He never liked him. Went back and forth for a while. Savage was awesome here.
Yeah, Randy Savage was awesome. Hogan was a huge babyface coming back. Randy's just doing all of these crazy lines, challenging anybody except Kevin Nash. Hogan comes out. He doesn't want to challenge Hogan. Hogan cuts a promo. Savage changes his mind. Now he wants to face. He was just awesome. He was great in this segment. This was a good show.
I thought these were actually both pretty good shows on the whole.
I was somewhat bored by Raw. Raw was not like a bad show, but it was kind of boring, I felt. This show was exciting. There were good matches. There were good promos. There was a Ric Flair match that got me excited for Crown Point, Indiana. I mean, what more can you ask for on a show like this?
Yeah. Then we had a Randy Savage music video that was totally pointless, and it was also obsolete. He did not even have the world title in this video. Why bother? We had some pics of the tag match where Nash lost the title to Savage. So the story is that in the footage, Randy Savage certainly did throw Gorgeous George behind a wall. But then when he started throwing kicks, we couldn't actually see him kicking her.
No, but he's still throwing kicks off camera.
Yes, but it appears this is all, I'm guessing, that this is all a setup by Savage and George to get Nash to lower the defenses. Because you see, in the tag match, George was in Nash's corner, but then somewhere in there she turned on him and Savage hit the big elbow for the win.
Huh.
And that's the best I can do to try to connect these dots. The other note about this package is that Sid's punches, even in still photo form, look horrible.
Yeah, but he's awesome.
We had nothing happen for a while. We had the Nitro Girls dancing.
Vinny, let's just say that they unfroze a caveman, okay, and he comes back to life. All right.
Walter Sullivan, yes.
He ain't gonna do Western boxing. He's gonna throw fucking clubber and forearms exactly like the Neanderthal Sid is doing in there.
They're not even clubber forearms, dude. He's trying to do, I guess it'd be a jab. He's making his fist and throwing out straight, and his fist is at the bad angle, not close to connecting. It looks bad.
He's a renowned striker.
We heard the Rap is Crap video. I like that part of this was the live concert from last week, and part of it was the original performance they did in the empty square in Tennessee somewhere, and part of it was just in various bars and honky tonks. But I like that in the crowd, there's seriously like 24 people there, and of the 24 of them, 23 are white, and you can easily find the one black woman because she's the only one clapping in rhythm.
Hey, I loved it. I watched it again. It's my favorite video.
And then what should we have for the opener but Vampiro versus Conan? 4 or 5 years earlier, if you did this match in Mexico, it would have been a monster. Here's a Nitro opener in 1999. So it was somewhat lasted, and then they're brawling outside, and Vampiro throws the chair at him, and the ref calls for the DQ, and this caught Vampiro off guard. Like, I don't think he thought he was going to get disqualified for that.
Well,
so he basically did the finish anyway. He attacked Conan, hit a Michinoku driver, and left.
So they announced that this was the first ever singles match these two guys had ever had together, which apparently was true, by the way. They'd hated each other forever, on and off.
Yeah.
And they finally get in there for a singles match here on Nitro, of all places. And they actually got in there and had a pretty decent match. They worked well together. They didn't kill each other. It was fine.
No.
It was fine until the terrible finish. And I guess the story is that last week, Rick Steiner and Vampiro were supposed to have like a longer match, but they literally went through the curtain and they were told, take it home. So Rick Steiner just beat the shit out of him, and they went to the finish. And he bloodied up Vampiro's lip. He just beat him up. And Vampiro went backstage. He didn't say a word. He didn't complain. He didn't cry about it. And so they decided, hey, let's give this guy a push. And so this was the beginning of his push, losing via disqualification to Conan.
Right. We had pics of Dean Malenko challenging David Flair for the U.S. title of the pay-per-view. He did not win. Cat came out. He danced. He ran his mouth for a while. He buried Buff Bagwell for the shitty boxing match he had last week or last night or whatever it was. And Buff comes out, and at this point, this became Pro Wrestling 101, how to build a rivalry between a good guy and a bad guy. The bad guy talked about how much Jacksonville sucked and how he hated the fans. Buff talked about how much he liked Jacksonville and how he was going to kick Cat's ass.
Well, let's not forget that the bad guy said, I'd kick your mom's ass, but she's in the super heavyweight division, and she'd have to lose weight to get down to fight me.
Yes. Yes. So Buff says, I'm going to kick your ass, and then like a moron turns his back, and Cat jumps him. Now, they did not technically do a match here, but they may as well have. They brawl, a one-on-one brawl that went like 3 minutes anyway. So Buff makes his comeback. He body slams Sonny Ono. but then Cat lays him out with the loaded dancing shoe. He makes a cover. Sonny counts 3, and Cat celebrates and leaves. So there you go. Now we have there's a Cat Buff Bagwell feud going.
Yeah,
fine.
It wasn't bad. It was a fine. It was a fine little angle. Shad is, when he's not wrestling, is pretty awesome. When he is wrestling, like, usually sucks, but I mean, this was fine. And I enjoyed this segment, which is saying something, because it involved the Shat.
And Buff Bagwell. Speaking of whom, we then had pics of the Piper Bagwell boxing match from the pay-per-view, which sounded and looked absolutely unwatchable, and I wrote that before I saw Judy Bagwell was involved. So
hey, in the Observer, Dave wrote it was better than you would have thought, but it still was. It was still terrible.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. It would almost have to be. Piper was also boxing in the wrestling trunks, which looked really weird. So the story was, first there was some kind of gimmick on Piper's gloves that got in Bagwell's eyes, so he was blinded, and then Judy somehow got involved, and then Buff somehow won. Now, my only complaint about any of this really is that why didn't they air this before the Cat Buff segment? That would have made more sense.
Probably just fucked something up like they always did.
Well, we'll have more on that later. Hold that thought, everyone. Keep that in mind. Ric Flair versus Dean Malenko.
Oh, my God. Allow me. This fucking Dean Malenko. God bless the guy. In storyline, he wants a push. He's upset that the cruiserweights are just out there having matches, and the older guys aren't passing the torch, and he wants them to step aside and all this and that. They give Malenko some opportunities in main event level matches. He's just a guy. His promos suck. You know, he's not rising to the occasion. So now he gets a chance to get in there with who of all people but Ric Flair, who I might add is one of those old guys that Dean Malenko wants to step aside. Flair goes out there and he fucking makes Dean Malenko look like $1 million. It was every Flair match you ever saw, but it was fucking awesome. First spot, he gives Malenko a headlock. Tackle, Malenko's all over him. Flair's doing backdrops out of the corner. He's just selling and selling and selling. Finally, Arn gives him a lariat outside. Charles Robinson's a referee. He's just allowing everything. Flair and Anderson are double-teaming Malenko. Malenko makes his own comeback. Charles takes a bump. Flair puts him in the figure 4. This match is just so awesome. I don't even know how long it went, like 10, 12 minutes or something like that. But every moment of it was great. Flair's just bumping like a crazy man. So finally, another referee runs down. Asia takes him out, and Malenko reverses the figure 4. Now, I think what was supposed to happen is that Malenko is supposed to be pounding on the mat to get the referee's attention because Charles Robinson is still groggy after getting knocked down. But what actually happened was he reverses the figure 4. He starts tapping. Charles Robinson looks at him fucking tapping and calls for the bell. And then Malenko has to be furious that he's been screwed. I'm like, dude, you were fucking tapping. No announcer, nobody bothered to explain what the hell happened right here. Malenko looked like an absolute fucking idiot. But the match itself was so great. I was so excited to get in the ring with Ricky Morton after this match right here. I can't even tell you how excited I was.
Ricky Morton wasn't in this match, you realize.
I realize that, but for fuck's sake, I'm not in there with just any geek. I'm in there with fucking Ricky Morton after watching a Ric Flair match.
Oh, there you go. That's true. So my problem with this was, because the whole match, Charles Robinson was being a heel ref. And he, of course, he would not just count Dean's shoulders down. When Dean kicked out, he would stop counting. But he refused to count for any of Dean's pins. He turned his back whenever there was interference. So it was basically 2 or 3 on 1 the entire time. So this goes on for so long. I was like, well, why should I care about this match when it's impossible for Malenko to win? Dean makes his comeback, and they do a spot where Flair goes up top, which, 999 times out of 1,000, he's going to get press slammed off the top rope. This time, Dean goes over to grab him, but Flair rakes his eyes, and he jumps down and cooks him in a sleeper. A sleeper off the top rope.
That's what he did, because he's awesome.
So that led to the ref bump. And then, so now there's a new ref in the ring, and Now Dean has a chance to win, but as you noted, it led to the figure 4 on the rollover, and Charles Robinson recovered. Did you mention Asia kicking the second ref in the ribs really, really, really hard?
Oh, yeah, she sucks.
She just booted him. So anyway, my take on the finish is just that Charles Robinson is a crooked ref, and he just threw it out and declared Flair the winner just because he's a dick.
No, Dean was tapping. It was mind-boggling.
All right. So anyway, they all attack Dean. Sting makes a save. I don't know. We didn't mention this. Malenko came out with Benoit and Saturn. Flair orders them to the back because I guess he's still president, which I guess is just going forever now. But then they didn't come out to make the save.
Well, no, they got a big match next week for the presidency.
Well, it's Sting and Flair do. But my point is, where did Benoit and Saturn go?
They just sent him away.
They were ejected from ringside, and I guess they took their bags and left.
Yeah.
So Sting comes out to make the save. He says Flair's presidency means nothing. Space Mountain is on Viagra. 10 years ago, he said we wrestled for the first time. Even then, you were keeping your thumb down on the young guys like me and Lex Luger and the Steiners. 10 years later, you're still here. He challenged him to a match with control of the company at stake. Flair's a better idea, he says. I'm going to book you against my son, David.
Big Bad Dave.
Big Bad Dave. And if you can beat David Flair, then you can wrestle me. And they cut to Sting. And Sting has had a couple of personas over the years. He was crazy, fun-loving Sting. He was dark, brooding crow Sting. We saw him as Joker Sting in TNA. In this moment, for 5 seconds, Sting turned into a serial killer. With ice water in his veins, he coldly, calmly said, I am not above hurting David to get to you. And he accepted the challenge. These promos were both awesome.
They were awesome. Flair sells better for being accused of being on Viagra than 90% of the wrestlers in this business today.
Yeah, for chair shots and things.
Yeah, chair shots and fire and thumbtacks and everything. Yeah. Apron bumps.
But Flair would take all of that before he lets you insult his dick. We had pics of the horror show that was the Junkyard Battle Royal. Look, I don't know how much you talked about this last week, but for those of you who don't remember, it cost a ton of money. Everyone got hurt. You couldn't see a goddamn thing. It fucking sucked in every possible way. So Vinny was the winner, and later being hardcore champion on the show. Shivani is running down the list of injuries in this match. Concussions, guys were sliced open, had to get tons of stitches. And in the middle of this, Bischoff cuts him off to laugh about, somebody got hit with a bumper. Well, yeah, somebody actually did get hit with a bumper and actually did get hurt, and he works for you, jackass.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yes. Bischoff was really, really bad on this show, by the way. So Kidman versus Steven Regal. They're doing this match. It's all going along just fine. Regal and Dave Taylor and Fit Finley are now a trio, and they're all out there trying to beat Kidman, but he fights them all off. He goes to the top rope, and he's going to hit the shooting star press and be the biggest hitter in the world. And the other part of this is, because all three guys were in the ring at one point when the ref got bumped, Eric Bischoff was in there to be the law, and he was there to count the pin after Kidman hit his big move. And Kidman goes to the top rope, and he jumps straight up in the air, and he comes straight back down, lands on the ropes gut first, and bounces forward, and time just freezes. They realize he's still alive, and eventually Kidman is a small package, and Bischoff is there to count free. Everyone tries to cover this up.
It's actually, I remember this not as vividly as I thought I did. Like, I could see in my head exactly, I remember this vividly, him going up and coming back down. At the time, I thought, oh my God, this fucking guy nearly killed himself on this stupid move. Looking back, he didn't nearly kill himself at all. He went up, he landed stomach first on the ropes, and he just safely fell into the ring. Like, it was scary, but it wasn't it wasn't like he landed on his head. It wasn't like he just went up and came back down on the ropes. Bischoff wasn't in the ring at the time. Kidman, he was going to get into the ring, but Kidman killed himself on the ropes, and then Bischoff slides in, and he goes right over to Kidman. He goes, "Are you all right?" And they immediately went to the finish and that sort of thing. But, I mean, I think this may have been the last time Kidman did the shooting star press. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I don't think he did a lot of them after this. And I had mentioned watching these shows, you could see, I mean this in the nicest way possible, he had the ugliest shooting star press of anybody who has ever done shooting star presses in the history of this business. It was so god-awful. And they were getting lower, and they were getting closer to the ropes every single time he did them. And you knew that one of these days he was going to fuck it up. Well, here was the day. And he lands, they go right to the finish, and then, I guess, I don't want to bury the lead, because it is him fucking up the shooting star press, but what I did not remember is that when this was over, tough guy Eric Bischoff gets in the ring, and he starts shoving the hardcore champion Fit Finlay. He's shoving Dave Taylor. They're out there taking bumps for this fucking executive, and he's out there as the tough guy, and it was so bad. Like, Vince McMahon knew, I pretend I'm tough, but everybody knows I'm not. And they're paying because they know that I'm going to get my ass kicked by Steve Austin or whoever it is. When I do beat Ken Shamrock in a Lion's Den match, I didn't lay one finger on the guy. Someone ran in and hit him with a chair. He fell into the cage. That's how I won. Vince knew how to do it, even though in his mind, Vince thought that he was a tough guy. He still went out there as a character who wasn't really a tough guy because he's fucking Vince McMahon, the former announcer. Eric is out there having to tell the world, I'm tougher than all the wrestlers. I nearly vomited.
Yeah, so all of that happened. And by the end, this was just a disaster. We had Sid Vicious versus Kenny Chaos. And Sid clobbered him in a clumsy, awkward, slow manner for a while. And he eventually won with a powerbomb. I will say this for Sid. He is very big and very scary.
Yeah, he's very freaky looking.
As we mentioned, his look is a 10. There's no doubt about that. And then he cuts this promo.
Was this not
I was just going to say
a Hall of Awesome caliber promo?
Can we induct just his mouth into the Hall of Awesome?
We're really going to have to think about this one, Vinny. There's still a few months left to decide before he breaks his leg and that's the end of his career. But my God, this fucking promo this guy cut was so unbelievably great. It was better than virtually any promo on Raw that I've seen like all year long, with like a couple of exceptions. He was so good.
He starts off, he takes the mic. Kenny Chaos is powerbombed to death, and Sid's basically kneeling over him, and he starts whispering, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" And he starts bellowing at the fans, and they're chanting for Goldberg. Sid calls out Sting. I wrote down part of this. I should have wrote down the whole thing.
I should have wrote down the entire thing.
The stars in the sky tell me my destiny, and the stars tell me to reach my destiny. The stars tell me to reach my destiny. I must take you, Sting. You must be my next victim. He goes on for a while, and he adds, I believe he quoted a proverb.
Yeah, there was like a biblical quote in there about
Therefore, he does not know when the master is in his house.
Yes.
He can only wish that he comes suddenly and takes him while he's asleep.
Oh my God, it was so good. Like, I think of all those times that fucking idiot Matt Stryker on Lucha Underground tries to do his proverbs, and they always come out so fake and phony. And here's Sid doing this fucking proverb, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't sleep tonight. I gotta leave a light on.
I picture this version of Sid. Well, that's the way to look at it too. They're scary as all hell. But he's also like on top of on top of the hill, looking down at the masses and preaching wisdom.
Oh yeah,
this was legitimately amazing. So for the record, there are at least two fantastic, great Sid promos out there. This one and the one to build the Royal Rumble when he was in the empty stadium.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
And hey, all I know is that as time continues here through 99, there are more great Sid promos to come. So hold that spot open there in that Hall of Awesome.
At this point here in my notes, it just reads, nothing happened for a while. It was all replays and recaps and Nitro girls, and it was just a bunch of crap. David Flair versus Sting. Sting gets a scorpion on him in 20 seconds. David is tapping, but Robinson has turned his back, so Sting lets go, hits the ref with a reverse DDT, beats up Arn, Rick, David, and the ref all by himself. Sting was a great superhero here. He was so awesome. Flair tries to hide behind Asia. Sting is hesitant, but he looks to the crowd. Everyone cheers, so he stingers passes both of them. And then Flair and his crew just leave. This has gone horribly awry, and the show goes to commercial.
Hey, I don't want to harp on this. I didn't bother counting, but there were, I swear to God, like 6 ref bumps on this show alone. 6.
Yes. There were a ton. Sheen brings out Finley to present him with a hardcore trophy, which is as ugly as you would think it would be. So Finley says he is there representing Northern Ireland.
I think it was what was left of that junkyard, actually.
They seriously was made out, part of it was made out of old car parts. So he represented Northern Ireland last night, having the toughest match of his career. He and Regal and Taylor had a plan. It worked. They had sent him on to sleep at the hospital. Talked about how Americans don't know what it's like being tough with our air conditioning and our heating and our Waffle House. And as soon as he gets to Waffle House, Gene says, "Hey, you've gone too far."
Gene's awesome.
I laughed and I laughed. So Finley says, "I'm tougher than a rattlesnake," which I don't think was a coincidence. And then a bunch of dudes from the Battle Royal came out to fight more. And Jimmy Hart steals the Hardcore Trophy, runs to the back. And his men are Jerry Flynn, Hugh Morris, and Brian Knobbs. And those 3 start brawling with Finley, Regal, and Taylor. And all I could think was, what a strange feud that's going to be.
Welcome to Nitro, baby.
Welcome to Nitro. And now I present to you a monologue by Tony Schiavone, as spoken in its entirety on live television in July of 1999. If you're ready, we're going to tell you and show you some of what went down last night in the bout for the World Tag Team titles. It was the Jersey Triad. They are tough. They are certainly tough. That's Kevin Nash. We saw those earlier. I know we're going to get the right ones up any time now. I cannot get through this. Well, let's show them to you again. Remember what happened with Kevin Nash? We still haven't seen him yet. But Macho Man was surprised, and we're back to the arena. Can we think on our feet up here or what?
It's incredible.
It was amazing. So if you can't tell, they were showing the earlier... They were supposed to show the tag team video package, and instead they showed the Kevin Nash video package. And somebody's trying to cover on the fly, and that's that. So they eventually do show their video package. It was the Jersey Triad beating Benoit and Saturn. There you go. Then we get Booker T versus DDP.
This match went way too long at this point in the show. Like, if this would have gone
way too long.
If it would have been the opener, I mean, we usually have some shitty openers anyway on Nitro. If this would have been the opener, it might have been okay, but this deep into the show, they just went like 15 minutes. There's another goddamn ref bump. I don't remember which one it was, but like I said, there were 6 ref bumps or 7 ref bumps on the show. One of them, Bischoff's just like, "This is ridiculous." And I'm like, fuck you. This is your fucking show. You got 7 ref bumps on this goddamn show. How about if you're trying to turn this company around?
Yes.
Yeah, and it was just so freaking annoying. So then they have this match. It goes on forever. Ref bump. Another ref runs down. Canyon's got powder. It gets reversed. And then after all that, Bigelow just runs in for the DQ.
Yes.
I was like, a goddamn waste of time. I wasted 15 minutes of my life and you gave me a fucking DQ?
The legit 13 minutes, not counting the commercial break.
There was a Raw match. Go ahead.
That is what angered me more than anything else. You see if it's too long for this spot in the crowd or this spot in the show. This is too long for that finish.
There was a Raw match last night, and I can't remember which one it was. It doesn't matter. The point was, it didn't go very long, and the match was merely a setup for an angle that they were doing afterwards. Okay? Well, this match was a setup for an angle they were doing afterwards. The heels are beating up Booker T. Nobody's making the save. The NWO B team is laughing, and Stevie Ray, Booker's brother, can take no more. And he rises up to his feet, and he rushes out, and he grabs a chair, and he goes out, and he saves his brother, and the fans are going nuts chanting Harlem Heat. Okay, great angle, all right? if the match is a setup for an angle like that, then the match should go like 4 minutes, 5 minutes tops. Don't give me 15 minutes in a fucking DQ just so you can set up your goofy angle.
Yeah, so that sucked. And the crowd was chanting for Harlem Heat as Stevie fought off the heels. Then they had taped Booker to the ropes, and Stevie was untaping him as he went to break. And then we had Randy Savage versus Hulk Hogan for the world title. So very early on, Medusa and Miss Madness interfere, so Hogan bonks their heads together. This causes them to fight with each other, and they are both ejected.
They got into a fight outside. What's going on here?
Yeah. Well, Hogan bumped them together, and each blamed each other.
Mm.
Yeah. So Bischoff, I didn't mention, was talking way too much in the show, talking over people in the promos, not nearly as funny as he thought he was, just hyper annoying. They brawled on the floor forever. Apparently, this was made no DQ, but I did not realize that until like the very end of the match.
Nobody did. Like,
so Hogan.
Well, hold
Hogan
on. I gotta say something about this. So, as Vinny will recap, a bunch of shit happens and guys run in. The fans are like, they're initially furious because they think it's a DQ, but it's not a DQ. Tony Schiavone has no idea why the match is still going on, and finally, Eric Bischoff says, "You know, Hogan asked for a no DQ stipulation in this match." And I thought, of all the dumb shit that WCW does on their shows, let's think about this for a second. Every fucking Nitro ends with a run-in disqualification, okay? You're announcing that the main event of the show tonight is Hulk Hogan versus Randy Savage for the WCW World title. In what fucking universe do you not announce it's a no disqualification match? Why the fuck would you save that until the end of the match? They might have actually got people sticking around to see a potential championship change if they knew that they weren't going to get a run-in disqualification because there's no DQs in the match. They're so fucking stupid they didn't even announce that.
So 2 minutes in, they're brawling on the floor, and Hulk Hogan, he's standing in the same place on the floor, and he hits Savage with a chair where Vampiro used a chair 3 hours earlier, and that was a DQ, and here it was not. I was confused. I had no idea what was going on. They were outside the ring for like 5 minutes, hit each other with chairs, whipping each other with the weight belt, using the weight belt in the ring, a lot of punching, a lot of choking, and I believe that is the entire moveset for either man for like 15 minutes.
I just love that Randy Savage is beaten on. Randy Savage is going to lose this match. Hogan beat on him for like 10 straight minutes at the beginning. And
that is also true.
And finally, Savage has a chance to get the heat. He took off his weight belt, and I timed it for 3 straight minutes. All he did was whip Hogan with a weight belt. That's it! For 3 minutes! Then they go to their finish.
So, Savage misses the big elbow. Hogan hulks up. Sid attacks him. Not a DQ. Now Bischoff says there's no DQ. Sting attacks Sid. Randy Savage pulls out a chain, and he hits Hulk Hogan with it, but he is sure to do this behind the referee's back. Why?
In a no DQ. He probably didn't fucking know it was no DQ.
So, now Kevin Nash and his jorts are in the ring. Powerbomb Savage. Hogan crawls over and makes the pin. Hulk Hogan's the new world champion. Now, I did a little bit of research here.
Well, honestly, I want to say one thing.
Okay.
It was a lot better than I expected. As much as we're burying it, I expected it to be much worse than it actually was.
Hey, you know what? They were in Jacksonville. It worked for the people in Jacksonville. They were into the whole thing, and they went crazy at the finish. So they worked in the building. Now, a little bit of research I did. Between the World Wrestling Federation and World Championship Wrestling, Randy Savage won 6 world titles. When he lost them, he lost 3 of them to Flair and 3 of them to Hogan. And 2 of those losses to Hogan came one night after he'd won them.
How about that?
That's amazing. So Hogan throws a big party. And while we're talking about, the great things about this, Hogan celebrated this World Championship reign, which had to be like his 10th or something, he celebrated it like it was his first. He went crazy. And then Nash cut the promo on him. He welcomes Hulk back. Says I've handed that belt to you twice. And now I realize, I thought it was safe to go back in the water. And now I realize the shark is back in the tank.
Oh, and no. Hold on. Nash has a saying. He says it all the time. He'll begin his promo and he'll go, "It's real simple." So he says, "It's real simple. I thought it was safe to get back in the water, but the shark is back." And there's a pause, and Tony Schiavone goes, "What's he talking about?" And Hulk Hogan goes,
Bischoff says, "What's he talking about?"
Yep. And Hulk Hogan goes, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And I thought, well, that ain't so simple then, is it? And he never explained it.
Well, he never did explain that, but he did. He challenged Hogan to a title match, and his sure to say this time, there will be no poke and no laying down involved.
Oh, I see. They're going to do it for real this time.
Yeah, we screwed you before, everyone, but this time we're not going to screw you. So there you go.
There you go.
Now I'm guessing because you are doing this remotely, we have no music, so you finish this report.
I don't actually know what I may have the music. Let me find.
Bring your harmonica.
I don't have my harmonic here, but I actually may have some music here. Let me check one thing real quick. You, I presume, have your finishes here.
I'm ready to go when you are.
All right, ready? Here we go. Ah, damn it, my computer's not authorized. Forget it. Go ahead.
All right. The finishes on this show were DQ due to chair shot, some kind of finish involving a crooked ref, pin after everything fell apart and a non-referee counted 3, no finish because the ref got reverse DDT'd, DQ after 13 fucking minutes, and then pin in what was apparently a no DQ match after all sorts of shenanigans.
Hey, not too bad. I've heard worse.
I've heard worse of a lot of Raws, although this week not so much. I'm pretty sure this week the finishes en masse were worse on Nitro.
Well, we'll soon find out.
We are at war.
Watched about 20 minutes of it.
You just giving up on the show now?
No, I was completely... Here's what happened. I am still not caught up with July.
Yeah.
I was completely, totally out of time. I thought I can watch all of Nitro and part of Raw. I can watch all of Raw and part of Nitro. Which of these two shows do I want to watch all of? And guess which one I chose? Nitro.
Huh.
Did I make the right decision?
Yeah.
I enjoyed Nitro.
Not a huge difference this week.
I thought Nitro was pretty good.
Raw had some ups and downs.
All I know is that I had a half hour left after I watched Nitro, and so I fast-forwarded in, so there would be a half hour left of Raw. Nitro ends with a disqualification in the main event, and the very first thing I see is a 1-minute match that ended in a disqualification, and I almost was like, I'm not going to even watch any more of this show. I'm sick of this show.
There were a lot of 1-minute matches on Raw.
Fuck! With shit finishes up and down the show.
I think Nitro may have had worse finishes, but we'll have to get into it here.
I'm not sure. All I know...
How do you know? You didn't watch Raw.
That had more shit finishes because I've watched every fucking Raw.
Well,
are you telling me that all of a sudden things have changed?
No,
They
actually,
have like 9 clean finishes on the show.
Actually, they were particularly bad on this show.
Thank you.
Nitro number 200, July 19th, 1999. Recap of Hulk Hogan beating Randy Savage for the world title last week. And a recap of Sting destroying Ric Flair and his crew, leading to tonight's Sting-Flair match with control of the company at stake. Scott Hudson was doing commentary instead of Tony Schiavone. I don't think it was explained why. But
he's there now.
He's just okay.
He did a really good job.
Yeah.
This is what my patience is like here nowadays. He's doing a very good job. I'm happy as a clam. And then during the Vampiro match, he mentions that there was a stiff kick.
Yeah.
And I was done with him. That's where my patience is nowadays. You say one stupid thing as a commentator, I never want to hear you again.
His big thing, Scott's on this show, was he was doing what Eric Bischoff was last week, which is don't leave a second of dead air. Pathological fear of dead air. Whenever anyone stopped in a promo to breathe in or collect their thoughts, he'd have to say something to fill that space.
Yes.
Video recap of Ric Flair becoming president and going crazy. leading up to tonight's match with Sting. And no, you're not hallucinating. I did just say the same thing twice because it aired twice. Sid comes out for a promo. Takes a long time to get down to that ring.
He was getting a lot of heat. This was a hot show, hot crowd.
It was a hot crowd.
Yeah.
He gestures for silence and patiently waits for it. Finally.
Stuff right there. This guy is Sid Vicious, otherwise known as Psycho Sid.
Yeah.
He's a crazy man. He's a psychopath. He's a madman. He patiently waits for the crowd to calm down. And then as he's cutting his promo, every time he mentioned his name, he politely called him Mr. Hogan. Every time. He's the most polite psychopath I've ever, in the history of anything.
Hannibal Lecter is awfully polite.
Not this polite.
So, Sid runs down Hogan.
Mr. Hogan.
Mr. Hogan. He promises Mr. Hogan will admit that Sid is the master and ruler of the world. And then, as I wrote here, he politely turned the mic off, set it down, and left.
Where's he going?
What's happening?
You put in the wrong hole again. Every time. I was right earlier. You would have been better off.
You know,
watching Raw.
We could have done
Vinny?
that, and nobody
Watching
would have
Raw.
ever known.
That's what that was.
There's cameras here, man.
Watching Raw.
There's one camera, and Rob doesn't have to turn it on me.
Yeah, he does. He's Rob. He knows good video. Oh,
Apparently, you know good radio. Drawing attention to everything.
This guy's doing something funny. I'm going to film it. He's jamming that thing into that hole.
Craig tried to creep across the table.
I was doing a fine job till I was called attention.
You realize
to.
there's a camera there, and they're wide angle going like this. So your giant head scooting
Rob,
in right there.
did you see me at all?
Actually, no. It was actually on
All right, suck it.
Why'd you have to bring attention to it then, Craig? We were doing just fine. Go ahead, Vinny. Continue.
So Sid politely turns the mic off and sets it down, and he leaves. The Nitro girls come out and dance for a while. Does anything happen on the show? We were like 12 minutes in, and nothing had actually happened yet.
What are you talking about? We had a Sid promo.
This is a Sid promo.
He had a great promo last week. I gave it a chance. Wasn't that good?
He had a Fit Finley versus Jerry Flynn match.
Okay. This is another one of those shows where I did not miss a week, but I feel like I've missed 10 years. What is that?
My phone's way over here.
Get it off the table. Yeah.
Is that it?
It was your phone.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's always here.
Well, someone was texting you or something.
That may be it.
Anyway. Since when is Jimmy Hart in the First Family running roughshod over WCW?
Last week.
Jimmy Hart in the First Family?
Yes.
When?
They were presenting a trophy.
I remember that. But,
And-
they're like a big-time faction all of a sudden.
The segment ended, as you were last week, with Jimmy Hart stealing the trophy and his men fighting off the Europeans.
Well, here he is. Jimmy Hart of the First Family here in 1999 has stolen the trophy.
The hardcore trophy.
He happily explains, I'm going to bring it to Sturgis, South Dakota. Come get it.
That is what happened. Dude, that's not the silliest thing that happened to Jimmy Hart in this segment. So,
Yeah.
The best is what you're trying to say.
so Finley and Jerry Flynn are doing this match. Quick comment on the match itself. I think Finley, there's no one who entertains me more doing basic things than Fit Finley. I love watching Fit Finley do elbow drops. I love watching Fit Finley do body slams. They're all awesome. So they're having this fun mean guy match. And every 2 or 3 minutes, Jimmy Hart reappears in the screen. He's in the parking lot outside the building. And he reappears in the big screen to taunt Finley. And finally, Finley can take no more. And he goes charging out in the back to get his trophy. Jimmy Hart is alerted that Finley is coming to murder him. His plan is, I'll go hide under this bus.
Now, conveniently, there was a drop cloth under the bus where Jimmy could roll on the cement without getting his nice tuxedo
Yes.
dirty.
Well, can I examine this incident that happened
That's
here?
what we're here for, yeah.
Okay, so at first, it was hilariously stupid. This guy's coming to get me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hide under the bus with this giant trophy that ain't going to fit underneath
And
the
the
bus.
final shot was him. He was mostly under the bus, but his
Yes.
hand was sticking out trying to pull the trophy in.
He was literally throwing himself under the bus.
So that's ridiculous.
Right.
But then the whole point was by getting stuck under a bus, his brilliant plan here, Finley was slowed down, and so the first family
Yes.
was able to jump him.
Right.
It's a trap.
It was actually genius, as preposterous as it appeared.
Mouth of the South, Admiral Akbar here.
Yes. Bobby noted he's the smartest manager I've ever met, aside from myself.
Yes. So yeah, the first family beats the hell out of Finley for some time, actually. And suddenly, they just jump to the next segment. They don't fade to black. They don't go to commercial. There's no breakup. The beating is still going on, and suddenly here's Lenny and Lodi with no shirts,
Yeah.
sitting at a table with J.J. Dillon.
They're having a contract discussion, and they show up shirtless.
Yes, for their business negotiations.
Sure.
Because as it turns out, Lenny and Lodi's contracts have expired. And it's up to J.J. Dillon to determine whether or not they will remain employed.
This was a hell of a negotiation, I might add. Nothing about, you guys haven't done jack shit. You've
lose
barely
all the
been
time.
on TV.
Yeah.
We're paying you hundreds of thousands of dollars to do nothing. JJ's big deal is your signature's weird.
That's what he said.
We never found out why it was weird.
No.
Like, were there hearts on it?
Maybe. So he asked them how long they thought they could get away with this. Like he wouldn't figure it out. He says, I'm not in the closet or something like that.
Yes, that's exactly what he said.
And then the big reveal is, we all know you guys are brothers. And that's it. They've been brothers this whole time.
No, Vinny. No, you're confused.
Gay brothers? Weird.
JJ Dillon thinks they're brothers, but they are gay.
Aha!
Because when you watched it, you could see them getting more and more nervous. And then when he finally says you're brothers, they're like,
I did miss this.
yes. So the storyline is...
That actually makes me happy because what they're doing as a gay couple is fine.
Yes.
If they were brothers, it'd be very creepy.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so they're gay, but everyone, including the idiot announcers, thinks they are in fact brothers.
I see.
Which begs the question, how do they sign these contracts? Lenny and Lodi Lane?
I suppose. So they signed the new contracts. They are still employed. Thank goodness. Mean Gene brings out Hogan for Mr. Hogan for a promo.
Thank you.
And Hogan, he was Hogan. He said, I'll beat Sid tonight. I'll beat Kevin Nash at Sturgis.
Cut a babyface promo. He figured it was time to turn his life around. This isn't his first time around the block. He knew he'd win that title. The big dogs were going to come after him. Roman Reigns shout out here in 1999. And he says, Sid has one part of the whole equation wrong. I was like, I want to see Sid's equation. That's what I'd like to see.
The Big Bang Theory starring Sid.
Yeah, he vowed Sid would be vowing that Hogan was the man.
Please show your work, Mr. Sid.
Sid.
Yes.
Sting Flair hype video. No, you're not misremembering things. They aired the exact same video a third time now in this show.
Tonight's video.
Lodi versus Norman Smiley.
Fuck.
As I wrote here,
This match.
every bit as shitty as you would expect.
Lodi is so lucky they re-signed before this fucking match.
Yes.
Because if J.J. Dillon would have seen this, it's terrible. Like, I'm sure that Norman Smiley's a nice guy. This is 19 years later. This dude's a trainer at the Performance Center. I watched this match and like, are you fucking kidding me? This match was terrible. The finish, he either fucked it up twice or it looked like it was fucked up. Either way, don't do that. And ICP's in the building, they announced. Randomly.
The only thing I can say in Norman's defense, it looked like he was working as slow as possible so as not to outpace Lodi, but he couldn't do it. Norman at his slowest speed was still too fast for Lodi to keep up with.
I was going to make a comment about the Rock and Roll Express, but they had more speed than both of us in that match.
I imagine they did.
Saturday night, now that I think about it.
Yeah. So, this did in fact suck, and they did fuck up the finish horribly twice. The wacky roll-up into a submission, they just ended up randomly in the ropes. So Norman did a wacky roll-up into a pin instead. And Lenny and Lodi were so broken up by this loss that they danced with Norman afterwards.
They did the big wiggle. I think it was by themselves. Norman left.
Norman kind of started with them, and then they weirded him out.
He left them to wiggle with each other.
That's what happened, yes. For the fourth fucking time in 40 minutes, we saw this goddamn Sting Flair video. What is happening? Do they think millions of people are tuning in every quarter hour, multiple times per quarter hour to watch this show? At last we had the match, so I was at least sure I would not have to see that video again.
Anyone time this?
I did not know.
I'm guessing it was around
7 or 8 minutes.
I believe Dave said 8 minutes, but this felt like it went at least 15. Am I wrong?
It felt that way. It was a good match, though.
It was a good match, but like they had a match, and then a bunch of shit happened, and then they kept going.
Yes, this may be the problem. he may have called the match. He may have called the match when the bullshit started.
I see,
but it didn't officially end for several minutes after that.
Yes,
that's possible. So there was bullshit before the match started. Charles Robinson is the hand-picked ref of Ric Flair, so Sting grabs him and kills him with a Scorpion Death Drop. Now, Flair is the president of the company. If you attack his hand-picked ref, shouldn't that be a DQ?
Well, I presume it was before the match.
It was, but
well, then
Flair's in charge.
He is in charge, but
for this point. So another ref comes in, and
if you're going to go that far, Vinny, then why wasn't this a match where Sting was blindfolded and handcuffed?
I don't know.
Okay.
So the other ref came down, and then he got bumped several times too, and finally Arn takes the ref out, Sting takes out Arn, Sid attacks Sting, and this all feels like a finish, and Flair puts him in the figure 4, and you're thinking one way or another they're going to finish this off right now. No, it went like 5 minutes after that. Asia gets involved. The ref
Another ref bump.
For the third time in this match alone, and Sting puts Flair in the Scorpion, and Eric Bischoff...
Can we talk about that very quickly? Mm-hmm. Flair does this every time. Sting lays him on his back, he straddles his legs, he puts one foot in the middle, he crosses the legs over, and Flair rolls right to his stomach. Flair's on his stomach. Sting hasn't even stepped over him yet.
See.
He turned over like an hour early. And Sting, like the guy turned over, but Sting's like, I'm going to fucking play to the crowd. You turn over if you want. And he looks around. Hey! Flair's on his stomach selling, and Sting's just standing over him. And finally Sting steps over the guy.
It's Sting and Flair. So, the ref is out. Sting has a Scorpion. Bischoff hits the ring. He's at the announce desk. He hits the ring, and he calls for the bell. No one rings the bell. He calls for the bell. No one rings it. He calls and calls and calls. A minute goes by.
There was another finish earlier in the afternoon, and I guess nobody told the bell ringer. And there was so much bullshit going on that the bell ringer had no idea what was going on. And so Eric just goes like this, and he just sat there. And Eric's like, ring the bell! He just sat there. Eric's screaming at this guy to ring the bell. And finally the guy rings the bell.
Nitro.
It's kind of weird to see Sting, the babyface, attack Asia. Gave her the Stinger Splash.
She went after him first.
Okay. It was 99, dude.
It was 90. Well, it was 99. It's Asia. She's bigger than most of the dudes anyway.
Sure, not bigger than Sting though.
Not bigger than Sting, but he whips her into the corner, and he looked at the fans, and the fans said, "Go for it."
All these fans wanted in the 90s was for women to get beat up.
Yeah.
That was the entire story of ECW.
Well, that's also true.
This had phenomenal heat.
It did. It really did.
Yes. And then Sid comes out. He wipes out Sting. He powerbombs Eric, and Hogan
God,
arrives.
did he powerbomb that guy?
Sid, powerbombed 100 dudes. This one, instead of like most powerbombs are straight vertical with the guy in front of you and basically he's crotch in your face, he lifts Eric up over like onto his shoulder, almost drops him. They're like behind him and then throws him down. Yeah, sucked to be Eric.
I thought that segment was great, despite all of the bullshit that we witnessed.
There's a very short list of bad Sting Flair segments. This was not one of them.
I don't think there's ever been one. I can't think of one.
It'd be hard to... There may never have been one.
Got to mention something, by the way, before we go into Rick Steiner versus Horace, which sunk this show for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking terrible. Coming after what we just saw. Like, literally the first thing that happens is people chant boring. Anyway.
That's too much credit.
A lot of talk over the years that in those final years of World Championship Wrestling, Bobby Heenan was drunk doing commentary.
Seem to recall that, yes.
Yeah, no. At the time, I never noticed this. I mean, part of it was I didn't start drinking until I was 30, so maybe I just didn't recognize a drunk guy on commentary. He was fucking plastered on this show. He was so drunk on this show. He's slurring his words. Now, the one good thing about Bobby Heenan being drunk is, boy, did he love this show. He's a happy drunk. He's so into this show. He's talking about Eddie Guerrero being his favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
He's into every segment. He's like screaming at big spots. He's going crazy. It's like, fuck, the guy should have drank every week. Like, what are people upset about? It's a fucking big improvement over the usual shitty commentary. But yeah, he was plastered.
Well, Rick Steiner fought Horace.
Terrible.
It was no good. So they're brawling on the floor. And Horace wants to use a chair. So he tells the ref, go check the time. That ref walks over to the corner of the ringside area. He talks to the timekeeper, and they must not have seen each other in at least 10 years because they had a long conversation. They got reunited, man. Two old friends. So Horace is hitting him with his chair over and over again.
Maybe he felt he should get the time in every time zone.
Could be, yeah. He throws Rick in the ring. Now Rick takes the ref, and he has a chair as well. Nash runs out and lays out Horace and throws him into the ring. Steiner hits the diving bulldog for the win. Now I see in my notes here, I have repeatedly referred to Horace as Hogan and Hulk Hogan as Horace. So,
well, you're half right.
You can see how much attention I was paying.
Horace is Hogan.
So,
but Hogan is not Horace.
That is true. So Hulk Hogan comes out with a mic.
His third appearance on the show so far. We're like an hour and 10 minutes in. He's been on the show 3 times.
So he confronts Nash and says, I called you on the phone, brother. You said it was business. But this looks like it's personal.
Beat up Horace.
Yeah, his nephew.
Very personal.
None of the announcers said this, but we know. And Nash says, it's business, and it's real personal.
No, first he goes, looks like I lied. Those are his exact words. Like, yeah.
I don't have the foggiest idea what's going on with Hogan and Nash now. They were feuding. They were buddies. They were in cahoots to fool all the fans. They've been buddies the whole time. Then now Hogan's back and now they're enemies. I don't know why.
Dude, when Nash just randomly showed up on this show as a heel, again, it was like, how many fucking shows did I miss? This guy was a top babyface a week ago.
Yeah.
Now he's the top heel.
Yes.
Solely, I guess, because Hulk Hogan is back and he's a heel and they're feuding. Or he's a babyface and they're feuding.
Makes sense.
I guess.
Stupid is what it is.
Eddie Guerrero in Psychosis. It was fine.
Eddie's put on like 20 pounds of sheer muscle.
Eddie's been lifting weights, taking supplements, yes. Nobody really cared. Psychosis would just do a big move, pick him up, do another move. And then Eddie comes back, hits a spinning backbreaker thing, and the frog splash, and he wins. Viano 5 and La Parka run out and attack Eddie. Ray Jr. makes a save. They clear the ring, and Ray and Eddie have a stare down, and eventually they shake hands.
This was good shit I wrote.
Yeah.
I must have liked it. They mentioned during this match that Arliss is here.
Yeah.
First off, not whatever his real name is.
Robert
Arliss.
Something, yes.
Robert Wool.
Robert Wool.
Arliss.
Robert Wool. Yeah, the character
is here.
For those of you who don't recall.
Playing the character.
Yeah, the character from an HBO fictional show was on Nitro as a fictional character.
And boy, was that the shittiest segment of all time later on.
Yep.
Stevie Ray tells the other B-teamers to watch his back while he deals with some fruit booties.
I can't believe that every time I had to write Arliss, I had to put the dollar signs in. I couldn't not. For a report that nobody's going to read except me. Why do I even remember that?
Crush.
I never watched the show.
It's the only person named Arliss in the history of the world, and so you assume everyone spells it that way.
That's probably true, yeah.
So Crush wants to know if Stevie Ray is still NWO Black and White or if Harlem Heat's back together. And it suddenly hit me here. We're in July of 1999 watching these shows. Bash at the Beach, when Hogan was the third man, was June 96. We are now going on year 4 of the NWO. It has been 3 full years, and this stupid thing is still going on with no end in sight.
Yeah, speaking of Arliss, you know, in Wheel of Fortune, you get to choose your letters, and there are certain letters that are more
common
than others. In this entire room, there's 5 grown men in this room. There's only one guy that has an S in his name.
Huh.
I was thinking about it like, if I had an S, I could turn it into a dollar sign for a gimmick, you know what I mean? And I was like, I don't.
Your daughter can.
Then I thought about Vinny, and then I thought about Craig. I was like, what the fuck? Tony? Good thing Rob was here. It's a pretty common letter, S.
There's an S in Rob?
Wanska!
Okay.
I was talking first and last names.
See.
Now you just revealed his identity to the world.
I apologize for the spam and junk mail you're about to get. Canyon versus Stevie Ray.
Dude, Canyon fucking tried so fucking hard.
A little too hard, if you ask me.
He
Stevie's
tried
a really
so
bad wrestler,
hard.
man.
And Stevie is fucking horrific.
Stevie is a parody of a pro wrestler. He would do something very basic, like a shoulder tackle.
No. Most people parodying pro wrestlers are at least funny, or they can do something right.
Oh, I don't know, I laughed.
He cannot do anything right.
He would do something very rudimentary, like a shoulder tackle where the other guy fell down and he did not, and then he would celebrate. Ah! And he'd go like this, and there would be as many cheers in the building as there are in the studio, which is none. I may have gotten a louder pop than Stevie did. So this goes on for a bit, and eventually the Jersey dudes try to interfere. The timing is all sorts of fucked up. So here's what happened. Stevie hits his pedigree. As he's rolling Canyon over, Paige and Bigelow are already coming into the ring. And Stevie makes a cover, and they're right there, but this is the finish. So, like, gentlemen, just stand there and wait for the referee to do his job and count 3.
Oh, the referee, you say? Who was the referee? Nick fucking Patrick.
I don't see how this could be his fault.
Okay, so he's over here, okay?
Yeah.
The move gets hit. This fucking guy can't just drop down right there and count. He has to run all the way around the ring. He
check
literally
shoulders.
goes all the way around the ring. He drops all the way down. He lays on his side like he always does. And then, I guess just to prove that Starrcade, whatever, 1, 2, 3. Fucking Dallas Page is standing there over him with his arm up like this to drop an elbow, waiting. He's like levitating in midair. Finally, Patrick hits a 3, and DDP's like, hits this fucking guy. Patrick cannot do anything right.
That's fair.
And he's been around forever.
He grew up in the business.
Now, granted, DDP probably got in the ring a little too early,
Oh, yes.
but when you're the ref,
All you have to do is stay on the floor until the 3 count.
not even that. When you're the ref and you see that the guy's in a little early, fucking run and count. Don't meander your way on over there and I'm going to make sure this is a full 3-second count and not 1 split second shorter.
So they beat him up until Booker T made the save. Arliss is on the show. He is at the announce desk. He's plugging the WCW guys appearing on his show. He's sure to point out that all the other channels won't have these guys on. NBC won't have them, CBS won't have them, but HBO is brave enough to put the WCW guys on TV.
That was the key. When he first started, he's talking about how these other channels won't have WCW on. And the announcers are looking at him like, are you fucking burying us? And finally goes, only HBO is brave enough. And then Heenan's like, yeah.
Randy Savage versus Billy Kidman, a match I am not making up.
Can we talk about George's heels?
They were really big.
She had like 2-foot heels on. Am I wrong?
They're very, very large.
I believe you.
She was as tall as Randy Savage. In real life, she's like 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
He's a legit 6-footer or more.
Or more, yeah. Yeah.
No Medusa, by the way.
She was there later.
Well, not-
Something's happened.
Yes, something has happened.
Did you watch last week's show, Craig?
I watched most of it, and then I was informed that I didn't have to do the show, so I stopped.
Yeah. They had a bickering.
A bickering. you said.
Medusa and Miss Madness did. They had a disagreement.
I
Thank
gathered
God you
that by
remember
the
that.
show.
Yeah. So Savage, by the way, cuts a match promo before the match saying Nash is a dead man. So I guess Savage is a babyface. If Nash is a heel,
Sure.
they're feuding. And he also says he's going to run for president in the year 2000.
Of the United States.
Yes.
Let me Google that. Did that happen? No? Okay.
I suspect it was never mentioned again after this
right.
promo. So, God bless Randy Savage, who goes out there with Billy Kidman, a guy way, way, way smaller than him, and way, 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 way down the totem pole, and went toe-to-toe with him. They had a back-and-forth match
Kind of.
until the end.
This was the funniest match because I felt like he didn't give him anything, but at the same time, he gave him a ton of spots.
I see.
Does that make sense?
That
Like,
makes total sense.
I
actually.
keep looking around, and the women are trying to interfere but get thwarted over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But like in between that, he's just killing the guy. It was bizarre. It was like, I'm going to kill you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then the women are going to try to interfere, but you're going to thwart it. And then I'm going to kill you again.
Well, I did say toe-to-toe. I did not say he gave him the whole match.
It was just weird.
I did like Randy Savage choking him with Slim Jims.
Hey.
I did pop for that.
Yes.
I ain't gonna lie.
So finally, Savage catches him with a pile driver, a body slam, and the big elbow for... I don't know why they couldn't do this for the finish, but he pulls Kidman up at 2.
Very important to have a DQ. We don't want to hurt Kidman.
Savage punches out the ref, hits another elbow, and who should make the save but Dennis Rodman?
Excuse me, Dennis Rodman?
The Worm, Dennis Rodman, yes.
Dennis Rodman came out wearing this outfit that one of Prince's men had to take back because Prince said it was too flashy.
It was not jeans and a t-shirt. No, he stood out. He was flamboyant. They were also in Illinois, so of course he was blubbed. And he comes out. He attacks Savage. Arliss hits the ring to talk to Rodman. Now Gene's in the ring interviewing Arliss and Dennis Rodman. Technically, at this point, the match was still going on. There was no bell. So Arliss tells Rodman he can make money if he doesn't blow it. Security is holding Savage back. Arliss then books a match for the pay-per-view. Arliss...
This didn't take place, right?
I don't think so.
As I recall...
I gotta find out.
As I recall, what was the company that was doing the shows in Australia after WCW died?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think Savage and Rodman did a main event on one of those.
Oh, my God.
So apparently Arliss knew it was...
No, it did happen!
What?
They fucking went 11 minutes!
When?
It rode wild!
Oh, well, I was wrong. It happened there. Happened much earlier.
I gotta watch that.
Why?
Dude, when Arliss was trying to put that match together, I was like, this is just some bullshit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, he's just playing a character because they're on HBO. They're not really setting this match up. Because I was just thinking about it. Savage can barely move. Mm-hmm. He dropped that elbow on Kidman. He could barely get up afterwards. And I just thought, this sounds like the most horrific match you could possibly put together. There's no way Rodman Savage could be good. Now I find out they went 11 minutes on this pay-per-view. I have to watch
it. In a singles match. So, yeah, Arliss gets this match booked. Now, Savage threatens to make Rodman his bitch, to which Rodman responds by presenting himself.
Yes.
Suddenly, Medusa's in the ring brawling with Miss Madness.
Actually, it wasn't... She was in the ring, but she couldn't get to Miss Madness.
There were so many other people.
There were so many other people, so she was kind of like stalking him.
She was merely about.
Yes.
Biding her time.
There's Medusa.
Yeah.
Oh, now she's attacking.
So Medusa and Miss Madness have a brawl that is 1,000 times more intense than Randy Savage versus Dennis Rodman.
Right.
Eventually, security stops holding the men apart. Rodman just saunters off. Savage disappears, and the security dudes are fighting to keep the women separate. And it ended.
Yeah. This is where I started really losing my interest in the show.
There was a lot going on in this segment.
I forgot
Mostly with Dennis's outfit.
I watched this show and drove here, and I'd forgotten most of that by the time I arrived.
Okay, so I got the Observer Road Wild 1999 review. So let's see what Dave gave that match. Anybody want to make a prediction?
I'm predicting minus a star.
I'll be a little more optimistic and say a half star.
Randy Savage pinned Dennis Rodman in 11 minutes and 30 seconds. Rodman was the only one the crowd saw as a star. He's talking on the whole show.
Sure.
Here in Sturgis. He gave it star and a quarter.
Oh, there you go, yeah. Now you're even more intrigued.
I have to see this. I have to.
If only there was a way we could watch this.
A lot of it was brawling backstage, so they pre-filmed a lot of it.
I see.
That probably helped. Should we go on, or are you...
They can go on.
Okay. Conan versus Vampiro. So, last week, they're doing this big match. A dream match in Mexico.
Saw this.
I got one more thing I have to say.
I knew I should have waited.
The main event, Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, dud.
Yeah?
Rodman and Savage had a better match.
Significantly.
Than Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash.
I have zero doubt of that, actually.
Wow.
The only one who could move at this point was Rodman.
Which, by the way, we'll find out was a loser must retire match.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
At a Road Wild 1999. All right. I'm shutting the window here, so go ahead.
Mm-hmm. So last week, they have what would have been a dream match in Mexico 3 or 4 years earlier in the opener on Nitro. And apparently nobody clued Vampiro in that you can't use chairs on the outside in WCW. and he got disqualified in what appeared to not be the planned finish. So here, a week later, they do the big rematch. They wrestle for a minute, and the insane clown posse hits the ring for the DQ.
Still going strong, baby. 19 years later.
And it appears that Raven is with them.
Raven is with them now, although Raven is smart enough to stand on the apron and smirk.
I have virtually no memory of this period, but I will say the crew of Raven, ICP, and Vampiro.
That is what it is.
Sounds awesome.
It does.
How can they fuck this up?
As I recall, Raven leaves soon and is replaced by the Great Muda.
What?
Yeah, I swear to God. I promise.
I'm so turning the corner. I got to rewrite this book. WCW is way more entertaining. WWF sucks. It's fucking period. I mean, they still lost. Nothing's changed. But.
It was too hard on this company by Bryan Alvarez.
Yeah. Of course, in the next segment.
So ICP beats up Conan. Ray runs out. He gets triple teamed too. Ray, by the way, he came. Ray Jr. came in earlier to shake hands with Eddie.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was in street clothes then.
Right.
He goes backstage. He comes out in this segment. He's in different street clothes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He was dressed as Gilligan.
I guess.
He was dressed as Gilligan.
I guess.
He had Gilligan's hat. He had Gilligan's Hawaiian shirt. He was Gilligan.
So Conan's the skipper?
Absolutely.
Okay. And Mike Tenay's the professor.
No,
This is working
the
out.
skipper had the Hawaiian shirt. Gilligan had that red
Okay.
button-up shirt thingamajigger.
Well, Ray stole the skipper's
Yes.
the shirt.
Anyway, Violent J did a moonsault, and the camera missed it to zoom in on Raven smirking.
Yeah. On Ray.
On Ray.
Ray Mysterio voluntarily took a leg drop off the top rope from Shaggy 2 Dope
Yes.
and a moonsault from Violent J.
Yeah.
The way he said Shaggy 2 Dope, I could see the 2.
Yes.
So that's the same.
Yeah. That is his name.
Shaggy 2 Dope.
Don't make fun of me, Craig.
Not making fun
Don't
of
make
you.
fun
I
of
just-
Shaggy.
I'm painting a damn picture here on the radio.
I know, and it's a beautiful picture.
Thank you.
my friend.
They spent several minutes recapping Hulk Hogan's return last week. Why?
It's Hulk Hogan. What the fuck do you mean, why?
He's already been on the show 5 times.
They're paying him like $100 million. He's going to be on the show 25 more times.
Oh, here we go.
Buff Bagwell comes out dressed as the cat.
In,
In
blackface.
Well, yes.
Fuck.
I noted that as well. Yeah, it was 1999. Buff danced way, way, way better than I was expecting.
If he would have said, mammy, I would have shut the thing off.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah.
Can we edit that off the video?
Why?
Let's talk about
I
how
wasn't in
stupid
blackface, it was
this fucking
Buff.
segment was.
So someone is dressed as Sonny Ono. I think Shawn Michaels' future wife was out there. As it was one of the Nitro girls.
No, it was Che.
It was the Asian girl.
Yeah. This was definitely not Shawn Michaels.
Whisper
Whisper
is-
was his wife.
Yes.
I apologize.
Buxom brunette.
It was Kimberly.
No, the other one.
So anyway, he goes down there. He spoofs the Shat.
Yeah.
Shat finally runs down. They get into a brawl. And, like, I'm sympathetic for Ernest Miller.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, what do you mean, really? What the fuck did he do to deserve this? This fucking white guy comes out in blackface.
Okay, that's
fucking spoofing
Okay.
him
That's
like a
uncalled
complete
for.
asshole.
That's uncalled for.
He runs down, beats the shit out of him. He beat the shit out of him. He left Bagwell laying.
That did happen. Well, last week
Was this Raw last week? I've never seen a more pathetic babyface than Buff Bagwell in this segment.
So this is Buff's revenge because last week Kat knocked him out with a loaded shoe and counted a pin that had Sonny Ono counted, so it didn't count. So this is Buff's revenge to dress up like him, make fun of all his catchphrases, make fun of his dancing, make fun of beating up the fans.
And his race.
He did that as well. He's from Georgia. That's what they do down there. So,
Oh my God.
The hate mail.
Can we end the show?
Vince at Verheide.
I apologize. That was terrible. So he's also wearing a velvet suit and sweating his balls off.
Join the club.
He addresses. He says he has someone out there as Sonny Ono, and then talks with the Nitro girl. Says this is Sonny. Oh yeah. He's making jokes about how Fat Cat's mom is. I guess he was kind of a dick, wasn't he?
Yeah.
No shit.
So
You think I just make this up for fun?
yes, Cat runs out and they brawl, and Cat leaves him out with a loaded shoe again, and Sonny counted 3 again, and that's it.
Brain dead segment.
Saturn and Chris Benoit versus Kurt Hennig and Barry Windham. So Kurt Hennig for like 3 months now, maybe longer, as long as this West Texas Rednecks thing has been going on, he's been just a comedy guy who gets in the ring and goes through the motions and doesn't care. And then he gets in the ring with Chris Benoit, and suddenly he's a fighter again.
He had to be. They were beating the shit out of each other.
Yes. So these guys are going at it. All four Cowboys are out there, interfering all the time. Saturn gets a hot tag, and he's just totally out of control, suplexing dudes all over. He punches Hennig right in the mouth and immediately realizes his mistake because all his punches after that were a lot lighter. And he catches Hennig in the rings of Saturn, and the Cowboys attack for the DQ.
I was done with this show at this point. After the blackface and this fucking finish, I was just sick of it.
As I wrote here, why do they bother doing matches on this show?
And then Shane Douglas.
Yeah.
Shane Douglas runs in to make the save for Benoit and Saturn. Shane Douglas.
Well, a Demon Link.
Okay. So, if you were reading all of the newsletters, paying attention to whatever the internet was back then, you could figure this out. But like watching this 19 years later, only watching Nitro, this fucking guy runs in and he starts talking about when people are holding you down.
Right.
You gotta step in front of them, bash their brains in with a stop sign, and take your spot back.
Yeah.
There's a cancer here in WCW, he says, and we all know who I'm talking about. I thought, there's 2.5 million people who have no fucking idea who you're talking about, dude.
And they needs to be more specific on which cancer it is.
That's a better point.
Dude.
I thought Shane's promo was awesome.
It was fine.
I have not always been a huge Shane Douglas fan, but his promo here was great. And this, well, now it's a quartet, but this group of Benoit, Malenko, and Saturn desperately needed a mouthpiece, and Shane's a fine mouthpiece.
Well, it definitely needed a mouthpiece.
Yes.
I'll give you that one.
So I thought this was a win. Hogan, Nash, Savage video package, apparently building to a three-way, I guess. I don't know. Then we had Hulk Hogan versus Sid.
Well, you know, because I just read you the Road Wild card.
Yeah, I don't know why they did a Hogan, Nash, Savage video package. So, fun with the network. We're watching Hogan strut down the aisle to the NWO theme, and Scott Hudson's saying, "There's Hogan again to Voodoo Child," because they can't play it on the network. Mm-hmm. So, you had every Hulk Hogan versus a Giant match you ever saw, only slower.
Sure.
But it worked. It fucking worked.
I saw him wrestle this match with Kamala.
Yeah.
I saw him wrestle this match with Andre the Giant.
Yes. King Kong Bundy,
Sure.
One Man Gang,
Big
probably
John
Killer Khan, did John Studd. They did some stuff. Sid stalled for a long time. They threw each other in the other end of the turnbuckles, and Hogan tried to body slam, and he fell down with a big guy.
Oh, no. The worst.
Sid works over the knee, goes to a Cobra clutch. He misses a leg drop. Hogan hulks up, and Nash attacks for the DQ.
Yeah.
I was so mad. I will give them credit. Sting comes down, he gets beaten up, and then they hit Goldberg's music. Goldberg has been gone for so long
Yeah.
that his music had to play for like 10 seconds before the fans figured out, what's this music?
This is more fun with the network. I believe in real life, this is when he was using the Megadeth song.
Oh, that's why it was so bad.
Because you could even hear the announcers saying, "What's this music happening? What is this?"
I see.
And then Goldberg appears.
Hey, the place went absolutely hog wild,
Goldberg
road
remains awesome.
wild.
When
Ape
Goldberg
shit for this guy.
picked up the very large Rick Steiner and easily pressed him over his head and left him up there,
That's impressive.
like he forgot. He's a big, strong, scary dude. And so the show ended with Hogan, Sting, and Goldberg, who have been fighting each other for years. Now they're suddenly all buddy-buddy. And they're standing in the ring, and they're having to stare down with the completely bizarre trio of Kevin Nash, Sid, and Rick Steiner. And I don't know where the payoff for that was.
Well, I'm sure it was probably supposed to be Scott Steiner, but his back's all messed up.
I guess that'd be less weird.
I just love that Goldberg runs down. He's killing everybody. He's press slamming dudes and everything like that. And the fans are going crazy for Goldberg. So Hogan turns to the ref and goes, "Raise my arm, brother." The ref raises his arm as everyone's cheering. I was like, you are incredible.
He's the man.
You're incredible.
He's the man.
This felt like a hot product.
It did, actually.
It got massacred by Raw. Massacred.
I looked it up. It was 6.25 to 3.5.
Almost double.
Yeah, it's almost double Raw's current rating, I might add.
That also is
Here
true.
in 2018.
Yikes.
Brian, we haven't done this in a while, but do you have my music?
I sure do.
The finishes on this show were no finish due to both guys running to the parking lot. Clean pin. Submission after shenanigans. Pin after shenanigans. Clean pin. Pin after shenanigans. And here we go. No finish due to worm. DQ due to juggalos. DQ due to cowboys. DQ due to big sexy.
Sounds fucking awesome.
Sure.
That's how they finished.
No way Raw's worse than that.
Little tidbit about Goldberg. There's a festival in England. You know, Goldberg's a gearhead, and he has many muscle cars. Mm-hmm. So he took one of his vintage racers up to the Lord Goodwood Festival, and it's basically you race up Lord Goodwood's driveway, which is a couple miles. I know this by listening to the Adam Carolla show, and he got there early, Adam Carolla did, and noticed that Goldberg's flatbed trailer was off, not with the rest of the group, because Goldberg had wrapped his multi-million-dollar car around a large rock this last weekend.
That sucks.
Oops.
Yeah, he was on the...
Sounds like he may be back soon.
Goldberg was on the Grand Tour.
Right.
With Jeremy Clarkson and them guys. It was great.